Well, greetings, freedom-loving tubers, one and all. Short talk in the trailer with the old guy. I just got home. It's kind of 4 p.m.-ish, somewhere in there. Spent most of the day digging, hand digging today, and boy, I haven't done that in a while. I can feel it all up in my back and my arms, and I'm thinking, boy, I'm getting out of shape. So, I've had such an easy life now the last 3 months or so or more. I mean, who digs, who shovels, who swings a pick, Not me. And boy, you don't do it for enough, and boy, it'll tear you up. So I don't, it's not feel like horrible or anything, but I almost forgot what it was like to be blown out at the end of the day. You just come home and say, you know what, I'm not doing anything. I just got out of the shower. Okay, I'll do that. I took a shower, and it's just all that sweaty. I mean, I couldn't believe how much I was sweating today. Anyway, probably more information than you needed, eh? I was thinking today. Do a little video. There's so many things that we could talk about, and so many various angles of corruption, mayhem, lies, filth, just gross sexual perversion, and it's all coming out of this same group of people. And so the way that we would, I think, assume that what's going on is that this is more than simply an outbreak of bad manners. This is more than people all collectively, just kind of losing their mind. No, there's a spiritual element involved. And, when you look at the news, some people touch on it briefly. And, a lot of that has to do with, I saw an alien and it looks exactly like some devilish thing or whatever. And I understand how that whole alien thing links back into the demonic, I think. And it's part of a huge lie, another huge lie. That's all we need is more huge lies, Revelation 21:8, go back and reread that. Who ends up in the lake? Among others, liars. Remember that. So, we need to think about the good Lord has come into this world to save his own. We call them sinners. Yes, they are. I am, that's for sure. But in other words, it's not an abstracted salvation potentially for everyone if only you'll kind of buy the ticket and get it punched and get authorized, and then you're in. Now, it's not like that at all. And that's essentially what the modern evangelical church, it's what we would call Arminianism, and that's why I'm a Calvinist. I'm not an Arminian. And so I'm just thinking that I believe near the end of the, maybe I should go back and reread this, Mike. Maybe you should know your text before you start opening your yap. But in other words, the idea is that near the end of the age, there is a great release of demonic, I guess you'd call them hordes, upon the face of earth. And essentially, it's crazy. And it's the same evil spirits that our great ancestors fought, in power, through the Spirit, and essentially threw them down. They used to run the world pretty well, but then first the Jewish faith, of course, the Hebrews came along, and they didn't fit in anywhere, and they were his precious and beautiful people. And then at the inauguration of what we would call the era or the age of grace, after the Lord God raised Jesus not only from the dead, but raised him to be seated at his right hand. So at the highest of the high authorities, there's a living, breathing man, Jesus the righteous. And so he's governing all that is. And so you have two kinds of spirits. You have either the Spirit holy and true and his angel servants who will never under any circumstances presume to disobey because they are straight up loyal. They're good folk. But the enemy, they'll pretend to be holy angels, or they'll pretend to be anything. They'll pretend to be leprechauns. They'll pretend to be aliens. They'll pretend to be ghosts. They'll pretend to be all kinds of things. Well, anyway, this, it's nothing new to think about, people doing seances or something, or what's that name of that Ouija board, playing with Ouija boards, all that garbage. That's nothing new. But what's new is the volumetric increase in these outbursts of just sheer, outright wickedness, faithlessness, heartlessness, cruelty, the disgusting use of women and children. The man's code, if he's a man, is that A, I'm here to defend the woman and the children. And my life stands between harm and them. And if need be, I lay down my life. But the point is that what's happening is the weakest ones among us, of course, the unborn, the old. And now the weakest ones are those who have voluntarily authorized themselves to be imbibing in their arm a very precious fluid worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. However, there is a proviso. When and if the product proves to be deadly or maiming or harming others, humans, I mean, those companies that build that marvelous juice cannot be sued. And in fact, if you do sue them, you can go ahead and try. But eventually what you'll end up doing is you'll end up trying to sue the government. You'll try to end up suing the Department of Justice. And let me guess, they probably got way more BBs than you do in your legal wallet. They can afford to stall this indefinitely. And so there's all these things that are breaking loose. And what I wanted to say today is that the times that we live in, when you look at a man like Mr. Kennedy, what I see is courage, what I see is integrity, what I see is a guy who's straight up. When I look at Ramaswamy Bobby, something just ain't ringing true here. I can't put my finger on it. He's a little too perfect. It's like I said the other day, glow coat, too shiny, there's no defects. Where's the warts? How can I even tell this guy's a human? And so I don't know. I'm not sure I trust that guy. But at any rate, those two, and then of course there's DJT. I mean, he's the 900-pound gorilla in the room. And I honestly think if there is an election in 2024, he's got it sewn up already. Nobody can touch this guy, and it doesn't matter what party you're with. And it would be good for the country if that ever happened, but I don't think that's going to, because what's happened is, at least since 2020, this demonic outbreak, I don't know exactly when it began in earnest, but I honestly believe that people have been summoning these things through various rituals and grotesque kind of orgiastic devil worship stuff for decades. They've been, maybe for 100 years, but now all of a sudden the gates are opening and the cockroaches are coming through. In fact, that's an insult to cockroaches, by the way. But sorry, cockroaches, don't mean to hurt your feelings. But these things, these entities, these wrecked persons coming through into our world now, where do they go? Where do they go? Where do they go? They go into humans. They malign your character. They twist your person. They change your priorities. They stop short your ambitions. They do all kinds of things, but they're fundamentally liars. And that's kind of the key thing you need to remember. Oh, by the way, Modelo Negro, brief advertisement. Hey, maybe I could work this into like a huge advertising deal where they could send me like billions of dollars. And and it's just this outrageous, disgusting puke that the poodle goes down to Hawaii, stumbles and bumbles his way, and falls asleep in the middle of a memorial service. Classy dude, classy. And coughs up $700 per household. That's all. Bye-bye. Ugh. Is that what they did after Katrina? Is that what they do after hurricanes sweep into North Carolina regularly? Is the federal government walks in and plops down $1,400 a day per room at the Four Seasons for their people to stand around and whatever they're doing over there, they're surely not helping the people. So they're spending $1,400 a day per room. How many people per room? One, maybe two. How many of those people are over there? Hundreds and hundreds. But how many dollars do they have for Hawaiians? Mr. and Mrs. The poor people, my gosh, they've lost everything. And by the way, I was looking at this, the name of the channel, you need to look them up. Hustle, 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 like they used to say that in baseball. And then if you think about when you itch, and it was a female dog, Hustle, itch, And anyway, look up Hustle Bitch. And these guys have got some stuff, what's going on, actually going on the ground in Maui. And, the so-called mayor and the so-called police sergeant, whatever he is, that guy is as crooked as the day is long. At any rate, all this demonic stuff is breaking out. And it looks like lies. It looks like murder. It looks like unanswered questions. It looks like mysteries arising. How could it be that everyone in the emergency management thing in that area was on vacation? You know where they were? They were over in Waikiki. They were having a huge hoedown with the feds and all of the other emergency management people. They were over having a little holiday, drinking champagne and whatever. When meanwhile, their homes were burning. Well, anyhow, don't let it get you down. Jesus Christ the righteous, he gave his authority to his disciples, and he said that they may cast out these enemies out of the lives and the hearts of human beings. With a word, they were gone. Amen. And so the Christian church rolled back this demonic horde for many, many, many years, and the world was blessed for it. Of course, the world never thanked the church at all. The world never even noticed the difference. But the difference between our world, where we basically even doubt the existence thereof, which is an ideal position for devils to be in, compared to actively fighting them as our great ancestors do, greats, and of course they were all under the influence of Christians. And in fact, even some pagans became aligned with Christianity, and in these spirit bodies, these things were driven back, they were broken, and they did not rise until recently. And it's only going to get worse. So don't you get caught up in the idea that things are going to hell in a handbasket, because they really are. And it's worse than that. We're not talking about a recovery here. We're not talking about the USA bouncing back someday to the good old days of Ike, or Truman or something like that, when we kind of had sort of a reputation in the world as like maybe the kind of the good guys a little bit. Clearly now the USA is the bad guys, and it's just hard for me to take. But on the other hand, we are pilgrims in this world. My United States citizenship, that's a piece of paper, but my citizenship in the kingdom is real. Your citizenship with Jesus as a brother, a sister, that can't be broken. This citizenship in the United States, we may have to think about that. I may have to renounce my citizenship at some point, just out of simple conscience. But we'll see how that works out. But the point is, I just wanted to get at was this. Sometimes it just feels so overwhelming. It seems like, how bad can things get? Oh, they can get significantly worse, if you'd like to know. It's never as bad as it could be, but it's beginning to approximate that here and there. Is that a time to give up? Hell no. Now's the time to buckle in. Now's the time, in other words, teach my hands to war, Yahweh. I want to pray spiritual prayers, canceling, crushing, breaking the hearts, bending the minds of these wretched spirits, chaining them, binding them, and sending them hence to the flames. Jesus didn't do that. He let them jump into the pigs, Well, that's because he's a better man than I am. That's all. I say, no, bring the boom down. They're condemned. Send them out now. But we're in prayer. Maybe I'm an amateur prayer. Maybe I need to gain a little maturity. Okay. But I say, let's start here. It's a war. And Jesus Christ wins that war, but not with our help. But we, recognizing his victory, war gladly with him. And when we war against the enemy, what that means is we're praying for the human beings trapped by these wicked things. So even the poodle, yes, even Nancy frickin' Pelosi, how far off can you get? I pray for these people. They've been captivated. They have no hope. They are lost. They are without God in this world. And if Jesus Christ doesn't have mercy and Jesus Christ doesn't wake them up soon, they shall surely die in their sin, and after that, the judgment. Nothing good can come of that from their perspective. Torment, unbelievable, and unending. No, the humans are being sheared off from these aliens, from these ancient so-called gods, little g there. The humans are being brought out and to stand up and in Jesus Christ confess there's only one true spirit, the Father of spirits, who gave life to all the other spirits. These wretched little spirits around us, they have gone off the rails, and they are condemned, and they know it. So you're in a war, you live in a war zone, you live on a war planet, and you might think of it as an asylum for the criminally insane. That's what our planet is. So I'm not too surprised that the Lord hasn't allowed us to meet anybody else out there. They're always looking around trying to find, alien signals in the sky and stuff like that. I'm just awfully glad that the Lord hasn't allowed them to actually find anything real. Because the only thing we would do to it, think what happened to the Native Americans here when the Spaniards came. And now that's down more like Mexico and Central America. Think about what happened when the British and the French came into the North America. What happened to those savages, as they called them, redskins? What happened to those people? Well, an awful lot of them died because there was things like polio and tuberculosis and probably strep, all kinds of junk that the settlers brought with them. Well, these folks had never had to deal with that because their immune systems hadn't had to tangle with it. It just didn't exist in North America until it was imported. And so it looked rather miraculous that the white settlers were able to push so far west so easily. Well, guess what? Every time they had contact with the natives, they were killing them just by breathing on them. And it's a little bit like that. You wouldn't want modern man, you wouldn't want human beings of this world to meet an actual unfallen race, would you? What have you got against decency? What have you got against innocence? You know how wretched and disgusting we really are, don't you? So I pray that all the rockets blow up. I pray that God just swat them down. Boom, like a fly swatter. You ain't going anywhere, boy. He loves his people wherever they are, and he's wise. So wise and so good, and so interesting too. And so when we're looking at these news articles, I just want to remind you, we're in a spirit war. And you're not a bystander. You're not up in the bleachers watching the game on the field. You're involved. You're on the field. Do your part. Keep your word. Help others. Speak truth. And be fearless. And that's where I need a lot of help, because I got a lot of fears. But he conquers our fears with love. His love. And that's the best. Jesus Christ, be blessed. Jesus Christ is in you if you are in his word and you obey his commands. He wins hands down every time. And so it's a sort of a test for us. When everything is going completely off the rails and totally screwed up, is God still in charge? I say so. And in it, we find relief. Start there. He won. He wins today, and he'll win tomorrow. He's not asking permission of these wretched crowbait spirits or whatever they are, these nasty, vile things, whether he can perhaps have his children back. Please. No. He's whooping ass. He's winning hands down. And he's going to capture a host that's innumerable. And they'll all have one heart and one mind at the center of things. The I am who is has spoken, and he has made himself known, and has come to dwell among us, and we dwell with him. This is forever. It's only just begun. Don't you even think about quitting. No. You're a pilgrim and a stranger on earth. Remember how the prophets before you were treated. That's what the book of Hebrews will teach you. This is not new. And still he wins every time. And so from there, walk calmly, walk confidently, and speak peace, and insist upon the right. He'll bless you. I guarantee it. You have a good day.